Sir,
I am aventishing.
making a
Is
Ventus
that a
red.
verb?
It can be.
Yeah. We ran out of this like a week or two ago,
Yeah.
and I'm almost done recreating the formula.
Okay.
Even bigger batch this time, increased by about 25%.
Oh, good.
Big enough that I can't actually macerate it all in this.
Oh,
Like
you
I'm
need
going
a
to need
bigger.
to split the concentrate a little bit. But I'll probably pull some off and do some experimenting because I can't help myself. You're making that face.
I am, because everyone loves a Ventus red.
Well, that's why I want to pull off a little bit on the side.
I know.
And you never know
And
how
then you
things
add
can be.
hydromexinol.
Hydromexinol? Is that water from south of the border? Is that
Hydroglaxidide or whatever?
I think that's Corona Extra Light, is otherwise known as hydromexinol.
What was it? Hydrocholesteride or what? I forget.
I think you're referring to dihydromercinol.
That one, and I didn't like it.
Of which you are not a fan.
Oh, not a fan.
That is amazing. Hydromexinol. So,
anyway, I thought it was about time, if you can pause for a moment in your calculations,
yep.
to do a house tour of the fragrances that you make.
Okay.
And just discuss their notes and talk about who might like them and things like that.
Okay. Great. We've got the Helvetilide added. I can pause there. I did not mean to actually pause.
Okay.
I will pause. You will continue.
Okay.
So this is a Aventish Red.
Okay.
So the very first semi-custom twist that I did was a take on Aventus.
Mm-hmm. We call it Aventish.
Call it Aventish because it's like Aventus.
And it's not in stock right now, but I think it should be because people are asking for it.
Yeah, you've been hounding me, so I probably will get started on that one next. So the regular Aventish is created based on, there's lots of Aventus formulas available, plus various oils and things, and I've taken stuff from a bunch of different directions and added a bunch of my own twists to it. So that is the very sort of recognizable Aventus DNA with the pineapple like jacked through the roof.
Yeah.
So very, very pineapple-y. And a little bit of oak moss added as well. And it just really helps the whole thing.
Real oak moss?
Real oak moss.
Okay.
Yeah, really helps the whole thing just kind of open up and bloom.
For my feedback, guys, I find Aventus, the normal Aventus, and even dupes of it, very screechy.
You do not like it.
Do not like it. I really like Aventish. I think he did a really nice job with it.
Thank you, love.
Okay. So what about Aventish Red, I guess?
So Aventish Red is about 70, probably about 70% the same formula as Aventish.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't dial up the pineapple so much. I do that just a little bit. And then mostly that top note is more grapefruit and cranberry. So hence the red. It's more of a red fruit. So added grapefruit, added cranberry, and then an increased black currant note that comes. This is not a secret because everybody knows that black currant, not everybody, but very common, cassis.
Okay.
This is a very famous like black currant base.
Okay.
That I use. It's really lovely. That I use to up the black currant note that is already present in Aventus. So it just, the whole thing becomes a lot more red fruity in the top.
Okay.
But then the Aventish Red also has a smoother base. It's not as birchy and musky as Aventus. It's smoother. It's probably a little sweeter, but more sort of slightly vanillic feeling. And there's like this kind of leathery suede, this smooth kind of leathery suede thing in the dry down.
Okay, so far I've noticed that younger gentlemen really like Aventish and Aventish Red. It's very popular. And some of the other fragrances that you make that are more animalic are less popular with that group.
Yes,
so although just for everybody's reference.
Yes, although I'm surprised at the number of people who have liked. So I'll move on to the next fragrance.
Yes. Okay.
I'm really surprised at the number of people across all demographics, ages, and genders that like the Amberish Absolute Intense.
Okay.
So this one is same concept in terms of how I've created it, but instead of based on Aventus, it's based on Tom Ford's Amber Absolutely. No, Amber Absolute.
Yeah.
Fort and Manley is Amber
Something else.
Absolutely. It's based on Tom Ford Amber Absolute.
Which is a discontinued fragrance, very expensive to get your hands on.
Yep.
And this is a marvelous recreation of it with a twist. And the
Yeah.
twist is what?
Well, and with each iteration, it's become successively more mine and more unique to the point where, you know, I don't even tell people like, oh, this is like Tom Ford. It's a different experience, and people are loving it.
Yeah.
So it starts with the core formula of Amber Absolute, but deviates very quickly. The core formula is now probably only about 50% of the total formula.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a whole lot going on in the rest, but predominantly what's different is there's a lot of oud added. Not super animalics, kind of a smooth, creamy, woody, smoky oud.
Yeah.
Then there are some animalics added on top of that, some ambergris, some musk, and some civet.
Okay.
But again, my intention was to create like an animalic, but it actually just came out really smooth and mass pleasing, and people really love it. But then because of how it was received, how well it's like, it was received so well that I was like, I must have done something wrong, because I was trying to make it really edgy. So I then took this and split it off and created an uber intense version where I use a very high end stinky oud and more civet to give it a real like distinct animalic bite.
Yeah.
So that's one that is
only if you like funky fragrances.
only if you like funky. But I actually just had somebody message this morning saying, like, thank you so much for this. I think it was, it was our friend Chris, Mr. Anzac Bear.
Okay.
He said, like, this opened me up to the whole world of animalics that I wasn't aware that I was going to be interested in.
Okay, so there's two versions.
There's two
of
Aventishes, two versions of the amber, one more
Amberish
animalic than
Absolute
the other.
and Amber Uber Intense.
Yep.
Just so people know when they're requesting.
Okay, next we have Brackish Man, which again is a coin name based on being something like Bracken Man, right?
Amouage
Bracken Man, which is another discontinued, like all-time great fougere, gotten very expensive and very difficult to get your hands on.
So all the notes.
This might be my favorite. Well, because
so
Bracken
good.
Man is like one of my all-time favorites.
So think about, if you look up all the Amouage Bracken Man notes, all of those are present. Plus, what have you added?
Plus, it's a bit more ambery than the regular Bracken Man. And then it's also got the spices turned up a little bit, the kind of clovey spice. There is a Tobacco brown leaf note added.
Yep.
Some additional aromatics, and then I think that's it, and a little bit of animalic oud, just a little bit. But the core Brackish Man is not animalic.
Right.
In presentation, it's very, very friendly. It's a very spicy aromatic fougere.
It's really nice, guys.
That you had me blind sniff once, and like
you were like, "Wow, this is expensive."
I was like, "Wow, this smells amazing!"
Yeah.
Like I didn't even realize it was my own creation. So similarly to the Amberish, this was very, very well received. But then somebody else said, "Yeah, but can you make that more animalic?" I said, "Of course I can.
Yeah.
Let's do it." So I've now have a Brackish Man Intense.
Yep.
That has a very different animalic note than the amber. The animalic note in this is more akin to old school Koros.
Okay.
So it gives it a vintage masculine vibe in the Intense. Still very wearable. It's not as funky off the charts as Koros, but it's definitely in that direction. Like, if you hate Koros, you probably will not like the Intense version of this.
Okay. 30 seconds left to talk about cherry.
And then I've got another Tom Ford. This one's been super well received as well. This is a twist on Cherry Smoke by Tom Ford. Same concept. It's amped up. There's some oud, a little bit of animalics. It's deeper. It's smokier. It's more masculine. But also,
it's a very nice cherry, guys.
Yeah.
Very smooth, not medicinal smelling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Super wearable.
Great for winter.
But a little funky. So if you don't like funky stuff, you're not going to love that.
Yeah.
But give it a whirl anyway, because you might.
There you go.
Okay, those are the ones.